And a good evening, or whenever you're watching this. The final chapter. Now, I don't know if this final chapter is going to be final chapter part 1, part 2, or if it's just going to be just one long video. So I'm going to just say, before you start watching this, just brace yourself for time, really. You might have to do it in 2 sections. I might even do the video in 2 sections, just to break things up a little bit. So here we are again. We are putting in the final chapter. We're having a glass of acai beer. So kanpai, as they say in Japan. I bet you lot think, oh God, every time he's on a video, he's always drinking. He must be a right alcoholic. No, because I always do the video when I've had my first one. So what I'm talking about isn't really isn't a drunken sort of rant, if you like. And no, I'm not an alcoholic. I just have to drink every single day. No, I'm joking. I just like a beer every now and again. On any day that ends in the letter Y, really. All right. So forgive the fatness. Forgive the vest. I'm just yeah. When you're as heavy as me, you know, you get a bit. You don't feel the cold as much. So where were we? I'm gonna call this is gonna be the final chapter, The Truth Behind the Smile. Oh, Dougie's fighting with his back leg again. Dougie, stop it. So yeah, 5 years. I've said on a couple of videos that, you know, the last sort of 5 years of my time with GKR Karate was I was jaded. I was just negative about the whole company because it was all about results. It was all about it was never about the karate. The karate just got forgotten. You know, we had to. It was a contradiction because we had to provide karate skills for instructors, yet our karate skills, and like I say, they were mine became a little bit dormant because I was limited to what I could learn because my instructor, we were going to train. I just thought, you know, we were doing the same thing over and over again. I just thought, we've done this before. This is nothing new. I'm not learning anything from you, Bob. You know, so I'd walk away from training sessions just thinking, I'm not learning anything. You know, you're not really teaching me anything. And then when you get to 4th dan with GKR, you know, it's a case of what else is there to learn? There's no more. You know, so you get limited not only by their syllabus, but you get limited by what you can teach and, you know, and what you can pass on to students. And then when you pass it on to students, it doesn't go, as in the instructors, it doesn't get filtered down anyway. I can remember when I first started Tadashi, a black belt followed me from GKR. And I showed him some stuff and, you know, of stuff that I'd actually shown the instructors. And I'm talking, I showed him years ago. And he said to me, so, well, I didn't know that. I'm like, did you not get filtered down? He's like, no, we never got showed that. I'm like, what? And this was just all about a simple Jordan block, you know. It was, yeah. So I befriended one of the instructors called John Daniels, who you know, it was a close friend, I would say, because we used to go to the gym together. You know, we'd come over training. We'd go to combined training together. So even though he was just an instructor, he was allowed to come to combined training and things as an invite. And so yeah, I don't know if that was a ploy all along just to get into the you know, the GKR good books. There came a time when I actually approached him. I mean, like I say, you know, we did spend, you know, we were good friends. We were friends. You know, he'd come round in the morning. We'd have a chat. We'd have a cup of coffee. Then we'd go to the gym. We'd spend a good hour and a half in the gym. Contrary to what you might, you know, the fat slob you might see in front of you, I used to work out 3 times a week. You know, I was pretty healthy at the time. Yes, I was taking medication for depression. Pretty healthy at the time. You know, I used to be, you know, buff. Now I'm just a fat slob, you know. But again, a lot of that comes down to the medication of what I'm on. That one of the side effects is weight gain. So I'm putting it down to that, because when I first started GKR, I was 11 stone. Now I'm knocking on the door of 18 stone. So yeah, I mean that's not bad, you know. Over the last 23 years, I've only gained 7 stone. That's pretty good. But it's pretty bad anyway. So yeah, so John Daniels, you know, he basically was like my right hand man, if you like, in GKR. You know, we'd talk about karate. You know, he'd be my main crash test dummy at seminars and in senior classes, and you know, we were just really good friends. So I thought. You know, there came a time when he was sleeping with one of the students, which I've told his wife about, but you know, she just blocked me anyway. But I did sort of let his wife know. This is after I finished. But the thing is when you finish, it just comes out as bitterness. Like I've said in a few of these videos, you know, they might just come across as bitter, twisted. You know, didn't get my own way, so I'm learning a lot now. But I just feel that now's the right time to talk about this stuff. So, and just lo and behold, there's not been any dreams since I started these videos. What's going to happen once they've all stopped? I've got no idea. But at least it's off my chest now. At least it's out there. It's gone. I've said what I need to say. So yeah, he was sleeping with one of the students. You know, as I said in a previous video, that I did cheat. I did cheat a considerable amount. And I'm not happy. I'm not proud about that. But I'm just saying that I'm no better than these people I'm sort of saying things about. It's just that I'm admitting it now. You know, I'm coming out clean now, and you know, sort of saying, yeah, this is what happened. This is what I did. You don't need to know names or amounts of times, but yes, it did happen, and it probably still happens today. So yeah. What happened was actually John Daniels actually came to me with a plan, because he knew I was jaded. He knew I wasn't happy with the way things were going in GKR, and he came up with let's start our own club. You know, me as the head, etc. This is the second person that's sort of done this. Dougie, sort of second person that's done this. So again, I don't know if this was a ploy to get me out, because now he runs things. You know, he's an expert in his field, and you know, I think I've said on videos that, you know, GKR promote their senior people within the region as you know, get expert advice on your kata. And I did ask for expert advice, and I'm still waiting for that expert advice on my karate from him. But lo and behold, you know, I very much doubt that anybody in GKR can teach me anything anyway. I mean, if that's big-headed, then I'm sorry, but I think I can back it up with knowledge. So arrogance is okay as long as you can back it up. So yeah, you know, I actually approached him one day, and I just said to him, I said, look, how would you feel about maybe being you know, taking on the south side, and you know, running senior class on the south side, and I'll do the north side. You know, I'll still run the business side of things. You'll get fees to me, etc. But maybe we just sort of elevate you to a higher position in the south side, and you sort of run the instructors. And he was like, yeah. I said, all right, well, I'll have a chat with Andy Ward about it and stuff, and because at the time Andy Ward was my ZD. I'd finally moved to the Northern Zone, and he was the zone director. I said, yeah, I'll have a chat with Sensei Andy about it, and we'll see what he says. But then things started happening. I just thought, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this, because we were told that, and you know, this is how it's always been, and this is how I've always promoted, is that if you've got students grading, you must be at that grading, okay, to support those students. Now, there was one grading that this guy didn't turn up. You know, this John Daniels didn't turn up, and they had students there. And it turns out it was an Ian Abernathy seminar, which I just thought was like, hang on a minute, you're not allowed to train with other people. You know, you're an instructor, then instructors aren't allowed to train with other instructors, with other styles, purely because, and this again is old school, purely because, Dougie, shut up, man, purely because it's a conflict of interest. How can you promote GKR Karate style, GKR Karate Club, but then go train with Hufo and Dung down the street? You can't do that, okay? You can't do that. But I do have to admit that because I was so jaded in the whole thing, and I was on my way out the door anyway, I actually took up a few taekwondo classes weeks before I left. It was only weeks before I left. It wasn't months or years. But this guy was, so I had a bit to do with him, and I called him on the phone. I said, look, where were you? Oh, they were all right. I went to train with one of my heroes, one of my karate heroes. And I'm like, do you know what, dude? Would you ever do it again? And all I had to say was no, I won't do it again. But he didn't. He said, I don't know. I'm like, all right, well, I've asked you to not. You're going against what I've asked as the senior person of GKR Karate in the Humberside area. So we had a bit of a falling out, and Anthony Ryan actually said to me, he said, you and John, you need to talk, and it's perfectly fine that, these people go and train with other martial arts. And I'm like, what? I think Andy Ward was of the same vein as me, that, they're not supposed to be training. Bob McCracken was turned into a bit of a softie, and he was like, yeah, they can if they want. And it's like, well, but that's not what I've been told. That's not what you told me. Where has that been promoted? And the thing is they were allowed to, anybody was allowed to train anywhere, but we didn't promote that, okay? Because we wanted them to stick with GKR and not go outside and see what other fruits there were. I've had some adults come to me in Tadashi and say, look, I'd really like to work on my flexibility. And I'm like, well, I'm not the best person to ask that. And they've said, oh, I really want to get better at kicks and things like that. I said, well, I'm not the best person to ask about that. So I'll tell you what, go and seek out maybe a taekwondo class that are all kicky, and go and train with a taekwondo class. So I've actually said to them, go somewhere else, because I can't provide that for you. I can't provide the flexibility and the spinny kicks that you want. So go and seek it elsewhere. And when you've learnt it, come back, you're still true with me, but come back and show me what you've got. So go learn somewhere else. So yeah, John was getting a little bit up himself, a little bit, too much up his own arse. To the point where I think I actually got rid of him. I can't remember if I got rid of him or not. As an instructor, and I think I got his class covered. So I think I did. I'm not sure. I can't remember. As it was sort of panning out, like I say, he was a bit of a snake anyway, and doing things behind the scenes to elevate himself. We sat down. He wrote me a CV, and he said, look, James, I can put you on my books, and I can give you a shift that's like, that'll give you maybe 400 or 500 quid a week. While we are building Kyokujutsu, he was going to call it. That was his thing. He had a syllabus. He had everything sort of out there. He had where we're going up in dojo and things. And so yeah, he said, look, I'll give you some shifts at what I do, because he runs a company, a successful company, and so he was also egging me to get out. So I thought, all right, there's something there. That's something. As I was sort of, I've done a couple of silly things as a manager. Like I said before in previous videos, I had overdosed a couple of times, and I put myself into a bit of a stupor. There came a time when Bob McCracken said, "Look, James, maybe because of everything that's gone on, I'll come back to that in a second. I wasn't overly happy anyway, because the person that tried to get me fired many, many years ago, back in 2012 or 2000, I can't remember when it was, 2012 I think it was, 2013, the girl that tried to get me fired actually went up with Ryan Marvin. She became his partner. She was helping out, she was his partner in Birmingham. And then they split up because he was sleeping with the man that he's married to now. And she emailed me and said, "Oh, look, Sensei, I'm moving back to Hull, and I'd like to continue my training." And because of everything that happened, straight away I'm emailing Bob McCracken. I'm saying, "Look, Sensei, with everything that's gone on, I do not feel comfortable because of everything that she said, everything that's gone on, because of what happened behind the scenes, because of how because of what happened. I don't feel comfortable teaching this person." Yes, go to a public class, but I don't feel comfortable having this person in my senior class. And I also don't feel comfortable grading this person either. His words were, well, let the past be the past, forget about it, but you're going to teach her. I'm like, right, you putting me in a really, really awkward situation here, dude. But I did what I was told, and you know, I didn't want to teach her, but I was made to teach her. Because again, as a manager and an instructor in GKR, you have to teach everybody. You can't pick and choose who goes to your class. That's the enrollment side of things, that pick and choose who goes to your class, and they pick everybody. But anybody that's got 20 quid or whatever it is, they'll pick them. So yeah, and it's quantity rather than quality when it comes to the GKR stuff. So you know, I'm sort of up in the air about that. There was a girl I was kind of dating behind the scenes that that, you know, things sort of broke down there, and I knew she was sleeping with one of the other instructors behind his wife's back. So I'm like, do you know what? I can't handle this. I want you out. I want you to go. So Bob's sort of attitude was, when I spoke to him, was that, you know, we can't remove everybody that you sleep with, James. I'm like, all right, that's a fair cop. That's a fair cop. But, you know, this is what's happening. He's like, well, have you got any proof of that? I said, no, I haven't got any proof that she's sleeping with a married man behind, you know, behind his wife's back. I haven't got any proof of that whatsoever. So it turns out that, you know, they allowed her to continue teaching classes. Long story short with her, I was right, because when I left, I actually said to the guy's wife, I said, you want to watch her? She's sleeping with your husband. His wife was like, no. Anyway, 3 months after I'd gone, they gets a phone call saying, look, I'm really sorry, you were right. They are now together. It took me on holiday to apologise to me and, sorry, to dump me and, you know, tell me all about it and everything. And now I'm just stuck in a hotel in Salou or whatever it was. I'm like, all right, fair enough, yeah. Hate to say it, but told you so. So what they did was they actually put me on sabbatical. And Bob's way of doing this is it was going to come up one day, which he did, and his words to me along the sort of lines, I can't remember word for word, but along the lines of, look, James, you do behind the scenes stuff, okay? So take the reports, you know, make sure the money's in the bank, etc., etc. Get the stock book ready and everything, because everything that left the office stock-wise had to be written down and signed for by the instructor. So I get the stock book ready, someone will pick it up and then take the senior class, they'll drop all the fees back off of me, etc. Someone else will do the gradings, someone else would pick up all the equipment, and I just do behind the scenes just to get myself well, because I was on the edge. I was on the edge again. So I'm like, all right, fair enough, you know, let's come up and talk about it. So Bob sat in my office in my conservatory, and you know, he's like, you got the stock book, stock and everything ready? I said, yeah, it's there. He's like, oh, well, before we do anything, just let me do an audit. I'm like, okay, it's a bit weird. Before that, we were talking a little bit about depression and, you know, the Blue Belt project that GKR skims off the top for. We were talking about you know, and he said, well, how does it work? And I've said this in previous videos. I said, look, I don't need to tell you how it works. If you're an advocate for this stuff and you're promoting the Blue Belt project, you should at least know something about depression and how it works. It doesn't just, there's not always a trigger. There's not always a trigger for anxiety and depression. It can just happen, okay? An attack can just happen. You know, your depression can just happen. It doesn't have to be a trigger all the time. Sometimes there are triggers. I would say more often than not, there isn't a trigger, it just happens. It's just a chemical imbalance in the brain that makes these things happen, all right? That's the depression side of things. That's why we that are depressed that choose to take pills, that's why we do it, because it levels out that imbalance. I mean, before that, I just thought depression was a state of mind and you can snap out of it. And I was really cold towards depression until the day that I actually broke down in the shower and, you know, for no apparent reason, and I was just crying for no reason. You know, yeah, all right, I'm depressed. Okay, I'm depressed. Let's get something sorted. So I dealt with that. I was dealing with that, and then Bob said, right, so let's do this audit. What he said to me was, here's what we're going to do, James. You do behind the scenes stuff. We'll go on a 3-month sabbatical. So I'm like, fair enough. But what we'll do is we'll pay you for 2 months. Then the final month we won't pay. I'm like, okay, well that's a bit weird. If you're going to put me on sabbatical, I'm going to return back. I think it was April, May, June. I think I started in April and I went April, May, June. I was due to return back on the 1st of July. So I'm like, all right, you're going to put me on for 3 months, but you're only going to pay me for 2. Okay, fair enough. And then what I started doing we started doing the audit. He started packing up all the equipment. I'm like, I thought you said I could do behind the scenes stuff. No. What we're going to do is, we'll take all the reports that you've got. I'll take all the fees you've currently collected, and we'll just return it when you come back. Okay. Because we're going to need to put a caretaker in, and they're going to need all this stuff. Okay. Something fishy is going on here. So that day he was there. He cleaned out all my stockroom of anything GKR equipment wise. Loaded up his Jeep. Took all the reports for the last 5 years. So we had to store those somewhere. So I had every class sheet and every report I'd done for the last 5 years. Took all those away. Unplugged my photocopier and fax machine. Took that and put that in the boot of his car. Basically, my house was de-GKR'd. Because we would work from home, so we'd use office space. We'd have an office space in the house. We'd have a storage space in the house to store stock, store reports and things. So yeah, it de-GKR'd my house. You could say he decluttered it. And when he'd gone, I felt complete betrayal. I'd given that company 17 years full time. No. 17 years as a man. I can't remember when it was. 2002, 2000 to 2000. I'd given them 17 years of my life. Never late. Always did the meetings. Always did the training. Every conference. Did everything they asked me to do. And this is how they treat me. This is how they just basically took everything. And that day I can remember just breaking down and weeping because I just felt, I felt like my house had been burgled. And all they took was GKR stuff. But I took it on the chin. I started, I was drinking quite heavily-ish for a normal person. When I say heavily-ish, probably start at 10 AM in the morning and finish when I was drunk. Yes, I was overdosing as well. Back and forth. So yeah, I just felt a complete betrayal. Because I wasn't performing, and it was a case of that, I either get myself well now, or they cut my income in half. I was next to have my income cut in half and go on the 1,000+. So about a month into it, well, maybe a few weeks into it, I said to myself, do you know what, I know what GKR are going to do. So what I want to do is, I want to just set the record straight with the instructors. So I visited the instructor classes. There was times when I visited them, and I don't think I showered for maybe 3 or 4 days. I was that depressed, and I was growing a beard anyway. I just looked rough. So I sat down with the instructors for a good hour in both senior classes, Wednesday and Thursday senior classes, and explained to them what was going on. I explained to them I don't know what's going to happen with the class. I don't know who's going to take over. I don't know I don't know what's going to happen with. They're going to put a caretaker in. And all the time, John Fuckhead Daniels and my ex-stepson, who I had raced since he was 8 years old, was sat there with their heads down and, you know, oh no, John Daniels wasn't there. John Daniels wasn't there. Like I said, I don't think it was anyway. They were sat there, listening to everything I was saying with a solemn look on the face. Some of the instructors said, if John Daniels takes over, I'm off, I'm gone. I even said to the instructors, look, I don't know if I'm going to return. I don't know if that's going to happen for me right now. But right now I'm stepping away from GKR. So, I'm still here for you. If you need advice on your class, I basically kept my doors open to them. Kept my doors open. Some of them actually started. We started a Facebook group, Facebook Messenger group, where it was just the positive stuff, and it was all to help me. Some of them would come round, knock on my door, and we'd have a cup of coffee there, and they'd tell me they wish my quick return and stuff, and I appreciated the support that I got. But yeah, so the instructors, when I was talking to them, there was a lot of them would say, look, if you leave, I'm leaving as well. I'm like, okay, that's loyalty, but I'm not saying that. I'm not asking you to do that. But I appreciate the loyalty there. If you start your own club, I'm going to follow. I'm coming with you. Okay, well, I appreciate that. I don't know what's going to happen yet. So in those 2 or 3 months I was being paid, I did send out quite a lot of nasty messages to Dan and John, because they were the caretakers. They were the caretakers of the region, of the classes. Now the thing is I've done some wrongs in my life, and I hold myself accountable every day. I've been held accountable by people, not only in GKR, but in my personal life as well. My marriage did break down because of the things that I'd done. The trust was lost, etc. But, when you've got someone like John Daniels, who did exactly the same as me, but yet he's made out to be like some sort of god. He's God backwards. He's just a dog. That's unfair. And then when you've got Dan Pinker sending, he's living with his girlfriend, and he's sending dick pics to another girl while his girlfriend's upstairs or in another room. That's also wrong, isn't it? But yet these guys are held in high regard. I don't know if Dan's still training. Do you know what? I really don't care. It wouldn't bother me if he vanished off the face of the earth tomorrow. I just felt backstabbed by the little shit, because I'd given him everything he wanted in life. I'd raised him since he was 8 years old, and I think he was probably 23, 24 when I left GKR. So yeah, I'd been shat on a major level. Neither one of them, neither John nor Dan, actually messaged me to say, right, this is what GKR has asked me to do. How do you feel about it? We could have spoke about it. We could have had a conversation about it. But they didn't do that. They didn't even have the damn courtesy to message me and ask me. Well, we're only doing what GKR told us to do. Are you fucking serious? You are only doing what GKR has told you to do. Like your life is dependent on what GKR tells you to do. Basically, GKR believe they have the monopoly on everything karate-wise. They believe they are the dog's bollocks in karate, whereas they're not. They're putting substandard instructors to teach students and give them false hope of ever becoming anything. They are a money-orientated thing. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the next grade. If you say to if a student in GKR says, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go train with someone else," you'll be shunned. You get cut off. They'll tempt you with, "Oh, well, we're gonna give you a black belt in 6 months." Oh, well, I'll stay then. You know what I mean? I've got so far. I don't want to have to start again and da. So they dangle a massive carrot in front of you. But these two dickheads, they didn't have a damn courtesy. So I was pissed. I was angry. And I was angry at Bob as well for keeping things so close with his chest that he just didn't know. So I'm messaging John, I'm messaging Dan, I'm giving them both some shite, and I mean I gave them some stick, because I just thought, you snaky little bastards. You know, I brought John in close, snake, stabbed me in the back, bit me in the foot, slashed my throat. Dan I raised from a child. Again, stab me in the back, you snaky little twat. So then I'm sending Bob messages, and I'm saying, you know, are you up here all the time because you're sleeping with so and so? This was the girl that I was kind of dating. I said, because that's your MO, and that's what you do. You go for managers' ex-partners, don't you? Ex-managers' partners. So I was giving him some shit as well. I've given them all some crap since I've left. Because not one of them has bothered to explain anything to me, you know. So my 2 months goes, my income goes. I'm a month without income. 2 or 3 days before I'm meant to return. Thinking, right, I'm back to GKR in a couple of days. Gotta let myself straight. I woke up one morning. Because as a manager, you were the administration for every single dojo Facebook page that was in your region. So I woke up one morning and little fat Matt Sullivan, you know, Crazy Bob's son, had removed me from every single Facebook page there is. And I'm like, okay, something's going on there. And the reason Matt's in charge of the Facebook side, or whatever he's doing now, is because he sucked as a consultant, he sucked as a manager. So Bob Sullivan's making these jobs up just so that he can keep his son in. He went into the admin side of things, and then went into the Facebook side of things, and he was doing all sorts of sides of things. His dad gave him jobs, made him jobs to make him feel less inferior. And for a dad who's the founder of the actual company, karate wasn't brilliant either. So yeah, I can call him fat because I'm fat. Fat Matt Sully. And then he's, you know, Crazy Bob Sullivan. A bit like Joe Biden. Sleepy Bob Sullivan. So yeah, you know, there was that. And I thought, hang on a minute, this is wrong. So what did I do? That day I knew that was it. I started promoting Tadashi. I'd had all the graphics done. I wasn't going to, but I thought, you know what, bollocks to you, GKR. And I started promoting Tadashi. Started getting the word out there about Tadashi Ru Karate Do. Now the stories that, I don't know what stories have been told about me, but there were half-truths. And when you speak to somebody, when you speak to a student, and you say, look, you know, you can come train me if you want. They say, yeah, I'd love to, but my dad won't let me train with you. I'm like, why? He's like, well, just based on what GKR's told him. Okay. What stories are floating out around there? So I emailed Bob and I said, look, you know, I don't know what you've said about me on my leaving, but I'm being told some stuff. And he said, well, you know, we tried the damage limitation as much as we possibly could, but we can't stop gossip. Well, you think you can make somebody do your bidding for you? You know, so why can't you stop gossip? You know, you think you're gods and everything else. So what I believe they told people was, because what I actually did, I did a couple of things. I sent a message to a girl who, and I just said, oh, you know, when you take me out for a drink. And she replied, when I've turned 18, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I'm really, really sorry. I apologise, I'm really sorry. Please forget any of this has happened. And then I also messaged one of the mothers. And I said, oh, your daughter's You know, she's too good to be training with substandard instructors. I've got my own dojo at my house. If you want to bring her along to me and I can help her out with the karate, by all means do so. You know, to help with it towards the next grade, by all means do so. And that was reported because, you know, I think the girl at the time was maybe 13 or 14. But, you know, my policy back then, when I first started Tadashi, was, you know, anyone under the age of 18, the parents have got to sit with them. You know, I even had a girl message me that was 18 and she said, "Oh, can I come and do a one-on-one with you?" And I said, "Of course you can, but Dougie, but you need to have one of your parents with you." So what the mum failed to do, and the mum reported me to GKR, what the mum failed to do is ask me the question, you know, how long will it be? Will I sit with her, etc., etc.? Because yes, you will sit with her. You will be there present. So yeah, GKR basically have said that this is all I can gather. Dougie, all I can gather is that they've sort of said that, you know, I've been offering one-on-one classes at my house to minors. You know, and I did do a couple of one-on-ones with some minors with the parents there. There was one girl, and again, I'm not going to mention names. Parents used to come and sit and watch every week, and she'd come because she was working towards her first cue. So I'd do some one-on-one sessions with her and just say, right, okay, work on this, 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 and this. I know what I would look out for in your first cue. So I want you to do this. And yes, I was charging her for a one-on-ones. And yes, it was at my house because I had a 30 metre by 30 metre conservatory that I had matted out, and that was like my home booth. That was like my home dojo. So, but her parents were there. So I helped her, and she did get a first cue eventually. And then what she did, she left there and got a black belt with me, etc., etc. But that's that. So what I think GK have done is they've actually told half truths, that, you know, that I'm X, Y, and Z, to make them sound better, you know, to make them sound, you know, much more superior, so that people will hear my name, people will hear the word Tadashi, and they'll just be disgusted when what actually happened is nothing like it's probably been told. So you could call this my my defense video, if you like, as well, to get my point across. So, you know, I didn't offer one-on-ones to minors at my house. I didn't sleep with anybody underage. I told you the story about Caitlin. That all came out at the end. Yeah. And I do attribute a lot of what I've gone through, a lot of what I'm going through, to GKR. The mental stress they gave me. You know, you're doing this, but you need to be doing this. It was almost like a mental torture. Just one, push. Just wanted to push and push and push, and they push people to a point of breaking, and that's what happened with me. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of good guys. I've seen a lot of good guys come and go in the past, for very, very menial, trivial things. Hey, beautiful. Very, very trivial things. You know, I said I was going to mention it, so I'll mention it now. So Matt Hickling was removed from his position as manager because, as a manager, we had to call back current students and see how their training was going, etc. And what he'd done is he'd filled out. He'd done, say, let's say 10 callbacks. He'd call back 10 people, but the names that he sent through to his zone director weren't those 10 people. So when the zone director phoned them, the people were like, no, we've had a phone call. So he got fired for that. He got fired because he did his calls but didn't do the calls that he sent through, and he got fired for that. You know, there's stories of managers being fired just for being late. You know, just trivial, shitty little things. Nick Jones was in a to-do with GKR many years ago because £16,000 had gone missing. You know, he blamed it on his partner. He blamed it on his ex-partner that she had stolen £16,000 over a period of God knows how long because she did the report. Well, do your own job, you dickhead. So what he did is he wrote a cheque to Bob Sullivan. Here's 16 grand, I'll pay it back. Get to keep his job. You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking, hang on a minute. You know, but when there's Bob McCracken skimming off the top, you know, Nabil Fanous got fired because he was I don't remember Nabil, but he got fired because, I mean, he was doing something really, really wrong apparently. He would get cars, and when he was upgrading his car, he'd give the car to the manager, and the manager would then continue to take over the payments. And the payments for that car were going into Nabil's bank, but Nabil wasn't paying for the car. So these managers got these repossession notices for the cars, and like, what's going on? So he was doing something that wasn't even, it was kind of robbing his managers, but it wasn't GKR. It wasn't GKR oriented. You know, it didn't scam GKR. It didn't skim off GKR's top. It just robbed his managers a little bit. You know, and, you know, there was something to do with tournament fees or something kept in somebody's pocket, and £2 grand worth of tournament fees. And but yeah, managers have been sacked for. When I say sacked, how do you sack someone who's self-employed? You don't. You know, you can't fire me. You just don't require my services anymore. In which case, what I should have done is say, right, do you know what? My services, you now owe X, Y, Z for my services. Invoice the bastards. You know, they do. They're very petty. If you're a penny missing, you know, they'll probably fire you. But you know, but it's okay for them to do it. It's okay for Bob Sullivan to not fill out an insurance form and skim off 200, 300 quid off the top and give it to some guy whose glasses got broken. You know, it's all right for people to be in tournaments and get their ribs broken. You know, but then you know, the manager stands there, Carl Hughes. I can remember. I'll say it's Stuart Hulley. You know, I was there, I saw it. Got knocked on the floor, ribs were broken, you know, in pain, in agony, and all Carl Hughes did was get his fucking phone out and take a selfie. You know what I mean? That's not. These are the sort of people that you know, that they don't give a shit about the individual. All they care about is the bottom line. All they care about is the money. I've watched some of the John Daniels GKR training at home, and I'll tell you, this guy can't kick for shit. You know, for a guy that's fit and eligible to move, you know, he can't sidekick for turds. You know, Dan Pincus wasn't very good either. You know, but I bet Dan's a fourth Dan now, and you know, because they give him away like candy. You know, they give fourth Dans away like, you know, it's nobody's business. So yeah, and I actually, when this girl, by the way, got her first kill, I actually went to the grading and sat in the grading. Nobody spoke to me, apart from this girl's parents. Nobody spoke to me. Instructors, students, nah, nobody. I think I might have an interaction with one or two people. But other than that, it was just, hi, how you doing kind of thing. It wasn't a, you know, when are you coming back? Nobody spoke. And then as soon as this girl's name got called out, I up and went. But I watched the whole grading. I watched them all in action. And, you know, all these people that said, when I said I'm starting my own thing, I messaged these people and said, look, I'm starting my own thing. You said you were going to follow. Now's the time. Oh, well, yeah, but I want to stick around for the students, and, you know, I want the students to, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I just think, you two-faced son of a bitch. Two-faced, head up your ass, arseholes. Because I'm willing to bet that some of these people that said, oh yeah, I'm going to stick around for the students, I bet they're not even training now. So they've given up on their karate journey. Because GKR's left a bad taste in the mouth. GKR's given them lies after lie after lie. And not one of them, not one of you, if you ever catch this, not one of you has actually messaged me or phoned me and said, what really happened? Nobody has. Not one of you has bothered. Not one of you has bothered to say, how are you doing? Are you actually still alive? Not one of you. And you all sat there and said, oh yeah, we're going to miss you. I mean, the people were crying when I was doing these talks at senior class. People were in bits and, oh, we love you and, you know, please come back to us soon. And then I saw them a few years later. Saw some of them a few years later and they all came up to me like, oh, how you doing, mate? How you doing? I said, do I know you? And they got a bit shirty because I'm like, hang on a second, dickhead. You told me you're going to support me and then, you know, the second GKR tells you some bullshit, you're off on one. Don't come and shake my hand, sunshine, I'm sorry. I'm better off without you. I'll turn my back on you once. I'm not going to let you stab me again. So yeah, but, you know, I mean, I'll sort of throw this video out there that I do challenge anybody in GKR to pop down and say hello, and I do challenge you to do that. I mean, I can't because I'm poor. You know, I mean, you guys have got loads and loads of money. You must be getting 30, 40 grand a year. So, you know, come and knock on my door. Come and knock on my door. If you want my address, I'll email it to you. I'll text it to you. I'll whatever. You know, come and knock on my door. Yeah, I got a letter. So after the grading, sorry, I got a letter posted in my letterbox from GKR saying that I've been sending threatening messages to the instructors. No, there was no threats there. I wasn't threatening anybody. If I wanted to do something, because I can remember one night, I 3 bin bags, I bagged it all up, everything to do with GKR. Ripped all the badges off all my geese, because I thought, if I'm doing my own thing, I'm keeping the geese. All right, so I ripped all the badges off the geese, took everything GKR, can show silly books that says karate for everyone so long as you're GKR Karate. And then his other book that, you know, living my dream. All right, what about everyone else whose money you take? What about them living their dreams? You know, you're robbing off these people. So yeah, you know, charge for the book. You know, if you want people to, you know, just give it to them. You know, you love them that much. People are your assets, so you give it to them. So what I did was I bagged up these 3 bin bags full of GKR stuff. I walked into the Thursday night senior class, ripped open the bags in the middle of class, threw it on the floor and said, you can keep this shit, and walked out again. That made me feel a bit good. So anyway, this letter that I got was that I've been threatening instructors and also visiting classes. Now, I thought class was public. I didn't realise you had to have an invitation to go. I mean, the public buildings, therefore, you can't stop me going into a public building. You can't do that. If it's open to the public, then I'm allowed to go in. You don't have the onus over that. And they said that if I'm seen at another GKR venue, they will call the police, and that my lifetime membership had been revoked. My lifetime membership that I bought back in 1999 for 20 quid had been revoked. Because lifetime memberships aren't worth the paper they're written on. Your training fees go towards the insurance. The lifetime membership is just a piece of card, which is pretty much what membership is, and the 20 quid goes in the instructor's pocket. And the insurance comes out of your training fees every single week at about 35 pence per student. So that's pretty much what GKR are charged, about 35 pence per student. So yeah, I mean, the name's out on a database anywhere. So, you know, they don't know who's, it's just a number, it's just numbers. You know, you've got 10,000 students training, give us X amount of thousands of pounds for insurance. And that gets paid out. So it's about 35p per student at my last check. Last time I checked. You know, so yeah, so that's basically the end of GKR Karate. I have had run-ins before, I have had run-ins since then. I have sent some emails out and, you know, just sort of said, you know, what's this being said? And, you know, as Bob Sullivan said to me, oh, you know, I actually maybe should go and get a job. And, you know, I didn't go straight into teaching GKR Karate. I spent a few years working first before I started GKR. Well, that's you. That's not me. You don't have the onus over who starts a club and who doesn't. You don't decide anything. You guys have got no power over me anymore. And after I finish this video,
You've got nothing over me anymore. I've said everything I need to say. I've put everything, I've put my heart on the line right now. I've put everything I've got on the line in these last 10 videos. And I've told you some home truths. I've told you some personal truths. I've told you that GKR is just full of lies, lies and lies. All the smiles that the students have, they're all genuine smiles. But what goes on behind the scenes to get you that smile is what I had to go through. You know, the 10 p.m. phone calls, effing and blinding down the phone because you're not doing your report. You know, the punching, the kicking, you know, the attitude adjustments. And then we walk in tournaments and we smile. You know, the constant berating, the constant telling you you're not good enough. The constant saying, you know, you can do better than this. Now, most people would say that's positive. Well, they're just egging you to do positive stuff, you know. But not when there's sarcasm coming in there. You know, Bob once called all his managers pigs. He said, right, you're all pigs. Personal, something. And he made it into a positive turn. But the first term was derogatory. It was negative. You're all pigs. So those smiles that you see on students when they're getting their money belt, because that's all it is. It's just a monetary thing. You're just a number. Your karate might not be good enough, but they won't fail you. Nobody ever fails with GKR Karate. People always pass. If you've paid your 20 quid, you pass. I used to fail people every month and upset people every month. To the point where I just said, you know what, guys? You guys are this shockingly poor. You go and fail that student. You put them in. You go and fail that student. Because I ain't doing it no more. I'm not having the conversation based on your shitty ability that you can't see right from wrong in their karate, and you send them to me. I did have a high standard. I did expect a high standard. But yeah, it's all about money. It's all about money. So like I say, the smiles that you see on students are genuine. But what goes on behind the scenes, that if you've watched all these videos, you will know what goes on behind the scenes. It's lies, it's deceit, and there's no bitterness involved. I can now remove the bitterness from my life. This is my final video on GKR Karate. Any other video that I put out there is going to be some self-help for the individual. Because I will keep making videos and I will keep giving advice. I'll build the videos back up to what the last channel was. But as of, for Bob Sullivan, Gavin Salmon, Anthony Ryan, Bob McCracken, Carl Hughes, Nick Jones, Ryan Marvin, Daniel Freer, all you guys that stabbed me in the back. John Daniels, Dan Pincus, all you guys that smiled at my face and stabbed me in the back. My hands are now washed. I might not be squeaky clean, but I've put it out there. I've been honest. And everything I have said to you in these videos has been 100% the truth. Not an opinion, 100% true. My question to you idiots is, can you stand up and publicly admit that what I'm saying is right? Or are you going to spend the rest of your life in denial, lying to your wives, lying to the seniors, lying to yourself? So I challenge you, whoever's watching these videos, and they're getting a few hundred views. So no doubt some dickhead in GKR is watching somewhere. Feel free to message if you've got the balls, which I don't think you have. But everything I've said is true. I can now sleep better, and I can now go about my day without ever thinking of GKR Karate though. I wish you well, you filthy animals.